After we have built our conceptual model of our database, we then convert it into a physical database. And we'll skip that part of this course here. That's actually covered in a different course. So after we have our physical database, we then want to have ways that we can extract information from our database. And to do that, we use a tool called SQL, it's Structured Query Language. On Blackboard, there is a link to a SQL Grader website that we will use to enter and test our SQL. This is that page on the website. If you come to ITD 130 tab in the menu bar, there is an area called the sandbox. Now, sandbox is an area many IT people use to test technology without having it be part of a project. So in this SQL Grader website, there is a small area to run your test queries on. So we start out by talking about comments. We can add comments to our SQL code two different ways. One is to start with a /*, and we can put in comments. And we end it with a /*. So everything between this, everything between the /* and */ are comments that are to be information for us, mere mortals, and SQL ignores these. The second way to do it is to put a --", and this is an end of line comment that says everything from --" to the end of the line is ignored. So we can run this because there's no SQL code in here. Nothing should happen, which is fine. So now let's talk about how we do a select. Now I'm going to remove this. Occasionally I'll add comments to our code. Now we have our physical database. What we want to do is select information from our database. If we remember from our models, we have our ERDs, we have tables and relationships. Within tables, we have attributes. So in SQL, the key statement we have, the first statement we have, is called the select statement. Now the select says what columns from our table do we want to extract data from. Now we'll use the fundraising event table for our demonstrations in this. If you go back to project 2, you can see the ERD for the fundraising event database. So in there, I'm going to leave this part blank for now. We're going to say from, and we're going to say what table is our data coming from. If you remember, we had a member table. So the source is select something from member. So we can say select member num, that's the primary key, and the name of the member. And don't worry about the red squiggly, that's just Windows telling us that it's not it appears to be misspelled, but our column names are, remember we don't have spaces in our column names. So we say select these two columns from this table. Select run SQL, and we see here are our member num, and here all the names of the members. So that is that's a simple select statement, fairly easy to do. And we can change this. In fact, I'll put a comment at the beginning of this. We'll say I want all of the columns from the table. And here I can change and not put my column names in here, just put an asterisk or a star. So select star from member, run SQL, And we see we now have all of the columns from our member table. So that's a easy select from. Select columns from table. Okay, we can, so this gives us all the columns and all the rows. We saw earlier how we can select specific columns by naming them. We can also select specific rows by using the where statement. Where state is our attribute for the state, where state is equal to MD. Notice we have single quotes, not double quotes. So if I say run SQL now, I only get the one row in here that has the state of Maryland. Notice if I put double quotes, I will get an error. Invalid column name MD. So the error is kind of odd. Says we don't recognize a column name because it's not a column name MD. So we have to do a single quote for data. Then go back to single quote and we get the result. Okay, let's change this to Virginia. And now we're going to say we want to order the columns by the member's name. To do that, we add a fourth SQL statement called order by. Here we say order by name. For those members in the state of VA. Click run SQL, and we see we have the members from Virginia by their name. Actually, my first name. From Chesterfield, Forest Hill, Glenside, in order by the name. We can make it descending. Order by name space DESC. Run SQL. And now we have the same information, but ordered by their name descending. Now it goes from S to P to J to H. Right? Let's okay. Notice when we select specific columns, we put a comma between the names of the columns. You see that? Comma, comma. At the end of the last one, there's no comma. It's a common mistake of students to put an extra column at the end on SQL. And this confuses SQL. It's saying, you know what, I'm expecting another column name here, but I got something called from. From's not a column name. So it confuses SQL. A lot of times, SQL detects that there's an error. All it's saying is, I'm not sure where the error is, but it's somewhere near the from. So we can either look right after it or right before it. In this case, before it, we see we have an inadvertent comma there. We take that out, and it should run cleanly. Okay, this concludes the first part of our SQL tutorial. Next, we will talk about some more expanded options in SQL.